Hello all. Welcome to the channel. Um, I just realized I was supposed to go live at 3 o'clock. Oops. But you know what? We're just gonna stick with it and we're just gonna see what happens. Um, guess let me post this on my Twitter real quick. You guys are with me today in the kitchen. I am going to make my version of pho and my littles just took a midday shower with me because they wanted to. So I'm starting dinner, and because I'm multitasking today, I'm trying to get all of this done. Hi, Factual Eye. I'm trying to get kind of like my Sunday together. So we're gonna do a YSL recap um, while I'm in the kitchen getting dinner together, while my big girls are going to the grocery store, and my littles are probably be running around here going crazy. Um, but you know, this is life. We'll work with it. We're going to be discussing what happened with YSL this week. We are also going to just kind of be chatting. So, get you a glass of wine. I got my vanilla Coke, whatever. And let's just have a midday Sunday brunch moment and just chat. You know what I mean? So, it's going to be a little bit more personal today. I'm not going to be in my office. I'm not going to be in my bedroom. I think this is better anyways because I'm working on my final project also for one of my classes, and it's a PowerPoint, and it's due tonight. Me and my last minute self again. Um, so in my head, I'm giving myself more time to work that out also. So at least that's what I'm telling myself. We'll see what happens. Where is the thingy? Oh, is that it? That's it. Okay. And then this is share, my share button. Copy link. Maybe here, just share. Twitter. Come. All right. All right. So, we had, what was that? Jury questions this week. Ouch. Just burnt my hand. I didn't realize it was that hot. And then we had what turned into what we thought was going to be another jury question. I'm going to have to move my laptop around because I don't have a little stand. I have it sitting on my toaster, but I needed my olive oil. But it actually turned out to be a verdict. What's up, babe? Oh yeah, there you go. Debit card. You know the number?
No, I do not.
Hi, Mama. You got your purse? No. You want to say hi? Ugh. Look at the pretty girl.
Hi.
She says, I'm not gonna call it Project Planter Special. I'm not. I was a little what's the matter, Mama? I was a little nerved by that name. I mean, I understand why they gave it that name. They didn't want to just straight up call it, Peanut or whatever. But I think that was a little bit much. So what we thought was going to be a jury question turned out to be a verdict. Now, what was that verdict? That verdict was for Yat Gotti, not guilty across the board. Not guilty. I think he had the marijuana charge for the stuff that was found in Young Thug's house. The judge gave a directed verdict on the other stuff, but he had that charge as far as the drugs were concerned. And then he still had the charges for the weapons that were found in Young Thug's house. Um, um, and that included the machine gun. And so ultimately, what happened is that the jury found him not guilty of those. He was also found not guilty of the big one, which is the unaliving of Donovan Thomas. Um, it was, I think, a bittersweet moment because, Judge Whitaker said she didn't want any outbursts in the courtroom, and there were none. For the Donovan Thomas family, they did, get up and leave the courtroom, I believe it was. Or maybe they didn't leave it until after Shannon got his verdict as well. But, Shannon Stillwell was found guilty of possession of the firearm for the weapon that was thrown out the window. Basically because it belonged to his girlfriend, and everybody accepted that fact. So you had Shannon Stillwell that was found guilty of possession of the firearm, and you have he was not guilty on all the other charges. Then you have Gotti that was found not guilty of everything. It was a good day. Again, it was bittersweet because you have the Donovan Thomas family. You have victims in this case. You have the Donovan Thomas family, whom they lost a son, they lost a brother, they lost a cousin, they lost a nephew. They lost someone who meant a lot to them, and the men that the DA chose to try for that were found not guilty. Hi, Kat. And then you also have the Shamal Drinks family, which, our heart goes out to those families because they too have loved ones that were involved in this situation. And the family wants justice. You know what I mean? So it's bittersweet. Tink, have you left yet? Can you add garlic to your list? Yes, please. Garlic is what? Garlic. Yeah, garlic. Yes. Please drive safely. And call me when you get there if you need help finding fun noodles. So you have all that going on. You also have, the families of the defendants who, they're happy that their family members were found not guilty, but they're also, angry at the fact that this thing went on the way it went on. Charring my onions on my stove. And the moment I knew that Shannon wasn't going to get a lot of time on the gun charge, when they were walking back after the judge reads the verdict and she just wants to sentence, and Max asks for an approach, and they walk up to the stand, and when they're walking back, Max's face is straight, right? But Simone Hilton's bottom lip is quivering. You can see it like quivering. And in that moment, I was like, I think these boys coming home. I mean, I think Shannon's coming home. I don't think, regardless, I don't think he's going to have to be in there for a serious amount of time, which the judge then decides she has to sentence him to the max because of the recidivist that was filed against him. So she sentenced him to the max that she has to on the gun charges, 5 to 10. She sentenced him to 10 as she has to. And then she sentenced him to 10, but he did 2. She said 10 to do 2, which time served on that, and then 8 years probation. Um, so that was amazing. It made me cry. I got super emotional. The craziest part about it is I'm sitting at work and I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, the only alert I had on was for, I think, for Cat's channel, anyways. And so I'm sitting at work, and my phone was on vibrate, so I didn't even get. I think it was on silent. I didn't even get the alert, and someone was just like, "Check your phone," and I checked my phone, and when I come into the chat, everybody's talking. I'm like, "Wait, what? What happened? What's happening right now?" And I'm asking the question. I'm like, "We got a verdict? What? What?" And then I had to go back and watch it, and then it was what it was. Um, but that was super duper dope. Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Pull my skins off. Put that in there. So super duper dope that happened. Um, my heart really does go out to the families of those who lost loved ones. In this case, the aunt, I said this on the channel. The aunt, she was in Miss Sylvia's chat, and she was saddened because she said that she had kind of already felt like this, and um, wish that the state wasn't going about it in this way. So, after saying that, we kind of go where everybody's excitement and living on the high, the dopamine high of the verdict, and it's kind of surreal, but it's exciting. Then, of course, we're all thinking about the other people that pled out and what it would have looked like for them if they would have potentially stayed in the trial. Point being, we do not know. We don't have a clue. The jurors may have looked at it differently had everyone stayed on this trial and they had more information and more evidence put in front of them. You had Marquavius Huey who also had the convictions for uh, the robbery convictions. They may have looked at it for what it was and still not found Rico, but just found him guilty of his individual charges, which looks like that's how the jury looked at it. They broke everything down by the individual person and then looked at the individual charges, and they collectively did not find Rico. And they didn't necessarily find the gang charges either. They just seen that these were individual people doing individual things, making individual choices that had nothing really to do with a gang or thug. So all of those things would have potentially looked very similar, but could have potentially looked very different. Um, One of the main things that the jurors did not like is the way that they were trying to hold everyone accountable for everyone else's decisions. They kind of saw through that. If you do not know or have not seen it, which I don't know at this point if there's anyone that's been following this trial who has not seen it, but I'm not a lawyer, but Mel Gooseby did an interview with three of the jurors, juror 225, juror 387, and I think it was juror 508. They all sat down and did about a 3-hour interview with Mel. About the jury process, about how they were taking in information, about how they judged the situation. Juror 225 was an actual deliberating juror. The other two were alternates. The opinion said you had to start unbiased, and then you could, whatever your determinations was as the evidence was presented is what the determinations were as the evidence were presented. And believe it or not, these were normal ladies, just like you and I, that were seeing the situations very similarly to you and I. Hi, Miss Chick, how are you? That interview, I started late. I went back to the beginning. I watched every minute of it. I've watched it probably at this point like 3 different times. Um, I think I want to say it's juror 508, the one that was mainly in the camera with the glasses on. I resonate so much with her and her opinions. I was like, girl. Your 387 that was off camera. The ladies also started their own channel, so if you have not subscribed, do go subscribe to that. I think it's called Surviving YSL on YouTube. Um, these ladies were able to articulate how they felt about all the evidence, about all the gang detectives. They were able to take the situation and see it for what it was, not try to read into it more than what it was. They were able to look at that. I think it was your 225 that made this statement, and it really stuck with me because I said this quite a few times. Eminem unalived his wife in so many songs, his mom too. The only person he loved was his daughter. When he first came out, he had a whole song called "I'm Sorry, Mama," and I don't know if that's a song, but the name of it. But you know, they were able to see it as just for what it's just music. Okay, um, it was an amazing interview. Now there was another interview that Dennis Byron did with another juror, and I be damned, it was stark contrast. It was day and night to what those other three jurors had to say. Literally, this juror went in with of the opinion that these men were guilty, and she said it out her own mouth. If I was in there deliberating, I would have hung it because I wouldn't have changed my mind. She said the evidence was overwhelming against these young men. She said that if they was rapping about it, it must have happened. Um, which is an interesting concept because these are the same young men that, I mean, in some of the songs, they was rapping about how much money they had and this, that, and the third, but some of them couldn't afford lawyers. They couldn't even afford a private attorney. They had to have, um, counsel provided by state. So I feel like that in itself was a contradiction. But you know how there's, and I really hate to say it this way, but I'm going to say it. You know how there's people, and unfortunately, a lot of them are church going folk, that you go to church, you've never been to this particular church before, and they, kind of welcome you with open arms. And you're like, oh, okay. But you know how you get in there and, you may be feeling the sermon. And this is especially in Black churches. You get in there, you get to feeling the sermon. And, I feel like I just need to get up and say something. I may need to get up and share my story. And these same people that embrace you with these open arms, now all of a sudden are judging you because you shared something about yourself that was personal and it meant a lot. But for you, you needed to get that thing out so that you begin your journey to heal. And now, instead of those individuals there being people that can help you along that journey, they're the people that's trying to hinder that process because it doesn't make sense to them. And I kind of got that vibe from that juror. And I can't even remember that juror's number because I'm going to tell you 100%. Yes, I did get a little biased because the way she was talking just utterly pissed me off. But we all have our own individual story. My story doesn't have to resonate with you. But it's still my story. You know what I mean? Give me just a moment. My daughter's calling me from the grocery store. Yes, baby. The what? The ones that look like the ones we normally get, whichever one those are. Or get them both, it doesn't matter. Okay? Okay. All right. She needed help getting noodles. But yeah, that's kind of like how I felt. I know the Bible says, "He who is without the sin cast the first stone," and that's what I got from that. If you know the Bible, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that juror showed her bias. She went in bias. She left out bias. That didn't change. She was not a deliberating juror. Thank you, Jesus. But she wasn't even willing to see that these things were situational. Not only that, but some of these crimes we were talking about were more than 10 years old. Some were 10 years old. Someone was a little less than 10 years old. Some were only a couple years old. But what I will say is people go through different stages in life and they change, and some of them grow up, some of them don't. Thankfully, these men had jurors of their peers. Some individuals don't get a jury of their peers. Some individuals get a jury, and those jurors don't care about their story and they just want it to be over. But what I did like about the 3 young lady interview, the I'm Not a Lawyer But interview, those ladies said, we are now official gang experts. We are going to put this on our resume going forward. We are gang experts. We are evidence experts. But I think they may have gave them a lot of insight on how to try this next set of defendants. So they pled out, they basically no pros the charges on 6 different defendants, one of those being Jaden Myrick. And I think I had at some point in time had talked about the stabbing of Wyatt and Lucci. And I think I misspoke when I said the guy was out on probation. He's not. He was facing a life sentence already. And, you know, I misspoke, and I apologize for that. The guy's not out on probation. The guy is in jail, and he's serving a life sentence already, plus I think 25. So he's gonna just go back to jail. And they're no prosing, which is not mean they're not going to prosecute at ever. It just means at this point in time they're not going to prosecute him. They feel like they don't need to. So apologies for that, guys. Did misspeak. Maybe off in my rant and BS and confusing it with another person that came out, but that is not correct. So 6 defendants are getting no pros. Most of them are serving these sentences already. So maybe the state just found that, hey, I don't need to prosecute them on this because, hey, we already got them in there for life or 25 years or whatever. So they're just not going to do it. Now, the next 6 that are coming up, it seems like on all of these, they want someone who's convicted of unaliving already, who's serving time on that, because guess what? It makes everybody else look bad. They did it with Lil Rod, and then you had, people convicted, or that you had someone convicted of an M, and then you had people on there who they're charging with an unaliving. And so maybe they feel like it makes it look better if you got somebody already charged with that and convicted, and then, we got other people. Also, one of the people that they were no prosing was Justin Cobb, and I think he has been on the run for 2 years. I mean, he did pretty good. That's bad to say, but rarely ever does a person in this day and age, in the social media day and age, go on the run and not get caught within a short period of time. He was on the run for 2 years, and then they chose to no pros him, but maybe that's a strategic tactic that the state is using right now, that they no pros the charges, maybe thinking that he'll come out of hiding, and then they'll be able to pick him up on like a material witness warrant. They like that one, and then try to get information out of him to use with this next set of defendants. That's kind of my theory. In addition to that, so we got Kristen Aperture on there. Miles Farley is also on there. And I feel like Miles Farley, if there is no other defendant on this case that has the most trumped up charges, it's him. I truly do believe that. Like Miles Farley, I think they are trying to give him the axe for no reason. This man is a clothing designer. You may not like his clothing brand, but oh well. And not only that, this man is a clothing designer. He was in the car that Nichols was in at the light that made it look like to me a right. And we've watched that video so many times, but he was in the car. He was in a different car. Demekion Garlington and Shannon Stillwell was in the same car, but Miles Farley was in the car with Cormavius Nichols. Why is he charged with the unaliving of Shamal Drinks when he wasn't even in the car that you guys said shot the fatal bullets. He wasn't even in that car. You dropped the charges against Carmarvius Nichols and had him plead out to basically to the RICO because of the drug charges, and he had prior offenses. What is Miles being charged for? Like, for why? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. They got him with the RICO and then that unaliving charge. Demekion Garlington is also charged with the unaliving of Shamal Drinks. But the state's theory was that Shannon Stillwell, because he was the driver of the Audi, then that he was the trigger man. If he's not guilty as the trigger man, how is everybody else guilty and they were passengers in other cars? Please tell me, guys. Yeah, like I don't understand it. I don't know. It's God, it's so aggravating to me. It is. It really is. It's very aggravating. Judge Whitaker then already told him, this ain't that. We not going to be in jury selection for no 11 months. That ain't going to happen. So do not care. And in addition to that, she said, we going to knock this thing out in 3 months. Yeah. So I don't see no reason why we can't. You know, a lot of what the state has for evidence has already came into play with this trial. And I mean, it's not clear cut and concise because, you know, they may have more evidence that they didn't bring up in this particular trial, the last trial that is coming up in this trial, because, you know, some of it is individualized to the individual people. However, they like the RICO, so they like to what you did, and what they did, they did. But you know, it's like the juror that was wearing the Boys in the Hood shirt 225. She said, since this is all it takes to be an expert, you know, guys, I think we're all experts at this point. I really do. I think we're all experts. I think that the state, you know, I'm going to be fair. I think the state did have a hard time getting their witnesses to testify the way that they wanted. And I think that's twofold. One of the reasons why the state had such a hard time is because the state was making assumptions about people, what they were saying, what that meant. And they weren't really willing to accept answers that did not align with their versions of things or their thought process. That is clear. I would say the person that was probably that appeared to be most guilty of that would be Adrienne Love. She had something in her mind, and that's how she felt, and there wasn't really any changing her thought process at all. I think the person who may have been the most open to something not meaning what we thought it meant would be Atkins. Because he would try to read things in context, and sometimes he would actually have said, and admittedly to the judge, well, I read it this way, and then I went back and re-listened to it or read the conversation, and I realized they were actually talking about something else and not necessarily this. So judge, yeah, it's okay. We're agreeing to take that out. That was the day, and I can't remember which day it was, but that was the day that Hilton and Love was kind of passing notes behind his back. I think that was the same day that they argued the house on March 12th, the car being shot, being riddled with bullets, i.e. one bullet. And they were kind of passing notes behind him. He just seemed like he was willing to make evaluations and put some personal thought into his analytical evaluations and not just taking it for what it was. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, you're right, Kat. It absolutely is. And I get it. I guess I'm so stuck on the fact that Myers Farley wasn't even in the car of the said trigger man. So why? Like how? Um, the prosecution is probably going to try to choose older jurors this next go around, and because some of those jurors that didn't necessarily understand or take things for what they could be, or that the jurors that were a lot more open-minded seemed to be the younger jurors. The jurors that were a lot more kind of stuck in their ways, and it has to be this if they're saying it, they got all this evidence saying this, so it has to be that, were the older jurors or the foreign jurors, the ones that may have not necessarily been from the US or Atlanta per se, but immigrants more so. It kind of came across that those were the jurors that were a little bit uncertain of certain things and really had to have things broken down. Those jurors said even when they had agreed that when it comes to questions, that if one had a question, they would ask. And like the question about the watch. Yeah, the watch that Doug Weinstein was talking about. And certain people thought he was talking about it just because he was trying to say, oh, this watch is missing. He was like, no, they didn't do the investigation the way that they should have. They didn't even process the evidentiary pieces the way that they should have. I mean, a $500,000 watch going missing on your watch. Viv Rito signed off on that inventory. So yeah, that's an issue. It's gonna make me burn my pho broth. Um, uh, 6 degrees of separation. Atkins' closing was a lot. It was a lot. I think clearly he's one of those people that he's like a PowerPoint data person. That's who he is. He could probably give me some advice on my final PowerPoint that I got to do for my gender and addiction class, because that would be very helpful. But Hilton's closing, guys, remember I said it. She was speaking. She was trying to speak to those young Black women, and they felt the same way too. She's trying to speak to us, and I do it all the time. When I get frustrated, when I'm aggravated, when I'm trying to drive my point home, my pitch gets higher, my words get more solidified. I get my stance get grounded, my arms get to moving. It's me, and my daughters call it the Black woman stance. It is what it is, and I read into that, and I knew who she was talking to, because I too felt like she was talking to me, but I don't feel like it was it's not how she projected herself in the trial prior to that. Now, if she had her days, like, did she have her moments when you could kind of hear a little bit of hood coming out? Yes. But if she had more moments like that throughout the trial, I think it would have landed better. It would have resonated better. It would have been like, okay, well, this is her personality. Like Love, we knew the way she opened it is how she carried throughout the trial. Love was that same person throughout the trial. She's messy, all over the place. The wolf of the pack is the pack, and the pack is the wolf. That was her stance the whole time. It don't matter who was there, if they was there, if they knew about it, if they didn't. Just the simple fact that they all what was her favorite line? Keeping everyone abreast of the situation. And it was another one that she would always say. God dang it, I can't even think of it. It was something else she would always say. They were conspiring. I can't even think of it right now. But everything was always keeping each other abreast of what was going on. And you remember there was a time when they were arguing the Woody, a prize than a breast. There he goes. There was a time when they were arguing about the oh, my girls are back. The Woody situation, the Woody evidence. And they were saying that they needed this jail call in because they were keeping Woody apprised and abreast of what was going on. And then Judge Whitaker said, okay, well, they were talking about, well, is there any evidence that he posted about it when he got out of jail? They're like, and Hilton was arguing this, and she was like, no. She was like, is there any evidence that he did something else? If he notified anybody else, or if he had made any postings himself, or went and posted on anybody else's anything about this? And they're like, no. She was like, yeah, not coming in. We didn't all agree with Judge Whitaker's rulings. Not all the time. However, regardless of how we looked at it, because everything was conspiring and conspiracy, statements of a co-conspirator, some stuff she just, I mean, the rules of evidence are the rules of evidence, and she had to let them in. Like, you know, some of that stuff, it had to come in. But, you know, I think there was times that Judge Whitaker herself spoke out and asked for things, and when those things didn't happen, she made note of that. You guys remember when Love was questioning Quindarius Zachary on the stand? And she would say, is it true that you told, do you remember telling Detective Gaither, here, you want me to turn it off? Was it Spidey or Coco? Coco. She would say, do you remember? Okay, calm down. Calm down, baby. She would say, do you remember telling Detective Gaither about the sky being red? And then he would be like, no. And then she was like, well, do you remember, didn't you tell Detective Gaither that the sky was red? No. Do you remember telling Detective Gaither that the sky was red? No. And Judge Whitaker had Judge Whitaker had called her out and said, you know, because Brian Steele, here, baby, here. Brian Steele was like, Judge, she doesn't have to ask questions like this. Why is she asking questions like this? He's like, I have a stinking suspicion that she's doing this because she's going to try to get his entire statement in with the detectives in through Detective Gaither instead of her calling him out on it and playing it for him. And her and Whitaker went back and forth for a minute on that. And she was like, I wish you would just kind of get to the questions. You do not have to do things this way. And Love told Judge Whitaker that basically nobody got the right to tell her how to ask questions to her witnesses. She can ask them however she so chooses. And, you know, what no one else can cartel the way that she asks questions. And she'll ask them basically however she wants to. And, you know, this is her witness and she'll do it her way. And I kind of think that backfired a little bit because Judge Whitaker was like, I am giving you advice. What you're doing is long, drawn out, and unnecessary, and it's not going over well. Please stop. And she was like, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep doing things the way that I want to do them. And as you can see, I think it was a slow buildup. I think Judge Whitaker went in open-minded, trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I think within a few days of her taking over the stand, she was able to personally witness some of the issues between all of the attorneys. I think she then was trying to help bring decorum back to the courtroom. And then I think she also witnessed Love single-handedly light that whole on fire by herself. Did y'all get some snacks? But I think that this next trial is going to be really interesting. because I think Judge Whitaker is going to be on it from the gate. So I think that, a lot of the motions and limines that needs to be filed, any new evidence, I just don't think things are going to be coming in the way that they were coming in last time. I think she's going to put some hard limits on stuff. It's going to be interesting to see a whole new set of lawyers come in and get to lawyering and doing their thing, and to see how they do their thing and how they compare to the Keith Adams and the Brian Steeles and the Bruce Harveys and the Westmorelands, and that Max Sharp. I think Max Sharp and Doug Weinstein have a little infamy now. Like, they did their thing. I so apologize about how I got really loud just now. If you have littles, your kids don't care. They don't care what you got going on. They got wants and needs, and all they care about is that you get to them. But yeah, I was extremely happy for what happened today, or not today. That happened this week. The guys don't get to come home yet. They still have some cases pending. From things that's kind of happened while they've been in the jail, and their lawyers are all working to try to get those things resolved, so that where's my spoon? Here it is. So that they can get their people out of there. Especially like Diamante Kendrick, he's not guilty on all charges. That man just sitting there. You know, these men have lives that they want to get back to, families that they want to be able to see and hug that they ain't been able to talk to in forever. So that was really amazing. Uh, too much. Okay, there. All right. So that was amazing. Shout out to Shannon Stillwell and Diamante Kendrick and all of their families. There, guys, I was trying to just like this week, I was trying to take it like so much positive stuff was happening, but then I was gonna go live yesterday because I normally go live on Saturdays, but I was working, finishing up the stuff for my final. Tingbot, Kyra, could you come here? Could you grab that greens pot for me? I think I need that one. It's bigger.
What pot?
The pot that we cook greens in.
What's that pot?
The black one I think is taller. It's a tall, like black one. Or it's blue. It's one of the two. But it's yeah. But also in the same time, like I was like, I don't know, I was happy like they were my family members. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Oh, all right. But then, I don't know. You guys may not even care, but I had a. Whew. All right, we're gonna try not to burn myself while I do this. Just enough out. Almost. Okay, now I can go this way. Okay. Sorry, I needed a bigger pot, and I was trying not to burn myself. I had to focus for a minute. So I had like it kind of, how sometimes when something that you feel really positively about happens, and then for some reason it always has to be like a stark contrast. So like as I'm getting really excited and loving all of the coverage and the footage that I'm seeing about the whole YSL defendants being found, not guilty and given like shorter sentences and this, that, and the third. Then in my personal life, stuff is happening and I'm just kind of like taken aback. Like I have good things happening, but also at the same time, I have very stressful things around me happening. And Like I'm trying to not, I guess, like get caught up in the BS with that and not be uh, and just not be like negatively affected. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So I don't know. I was thinking about that, and then I was having thoughts of like, what am I going to cover now that that's not here? I know there's some other trials that's happening. Do I want to keep covering trials? Because I got personally invested in this trial, and that's kind of like where my coverage came from. It's coming just from a personal perspective. Not that I know anything about the legalese of anything. Um, it was realistically around the time that Tick was on the stand that I seen that, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And then after Adrian Bean, I was like, yep, I'm here. Not a short time, but for a long time. um, and so yeah, it was that personal investment for me in this and what was going on in this that kind of made me be like, I want to cover it. I don't know how to cover it. I don't know what to do. So then I started watching other people that was covering it. Um, and then I was like, I'm just gonna watch it and talk after, the day or whatever. And so that's what I started doing. And then now that I have a channel, I was also thinking like, what do I do now? Or how do I go forward now or whatever? But I know I want to cover the next six, the next group of gentlemen that's gonna be on trial regarding this trial. Because I think I want to see it through to the end. I don't want to stop midway. I also know that being a streamer is hard, and trying to balance that with my work life is hard. But as far as YSL is concerned, I think I am here to see this thing through to the end. Um, I've become very interested in the way the laws were applied in this case, the arguments in this case from the state's standpoint. um, there was a day, and I want to say this is around day, I can't remember what day it was, but it was the day that Brian Steele, I want to say it's 68, but it may not be 68. Brian Steele was arguing with Adrian Love. Adrian Love was wearing the white coat, and it was regarding the Adrian Bean testimony. Adrian Bean going to the Grady Hospital. And Brian Steele had brought out the dispatchers' conversations, the conversations between the dispatchers as they were taking him to the hospital, because Adrian Love kept arguing that he never went to the hospital. So then they had that argument, and then Brian Steele brings out these things that were given to him in evidence that showed that Adrian Bean was taken to the hospital. Well, then Love's argument is no longer that he was taken to the hospital. It was then that he had talked to a detective when he was at the hospital. And Brian Steele was like, well, we don't just have to accept that as fact, because he told Detective Quinn, and then this piece of evidence says, when I talked to those other detectives, I lied. And then Detective Quinn said, okay, well, tell me what you lied about. Not, who, when, what, where. So Adrian Love accused Brian Steele of fabricating evidence. That was the argument before Judge Glanville. She accused him of fabricating evidence. She said that he was stopping and starting a recording. She said that Adrian Bean has said that was all of the recording, and because Brian Steele didn't play all of the recording, that he had a legal right to hand that over to them, to the prosecution team. Brian Steele brought all his cases and presented his evidence, saying that it wasn't his case in chief, and he did not have that obligation, and anything that he didn't use, he didn't have to turn over to them. And then they went back and forth, and Judge Glanville was going to strike all of the testimony that Brian Steele got out on cross-examination regarding the recordings and all of that stuff, because he said that he couldn't do that. Well, then Brian still played his recording because Adrian Love was saying that he was the one that was saying that Adrian Bean had he Adrian Love was saying that Brian Steele was the one who brought up the hospital, and Brian Steele was saying no, Bean brought up the hospital, and they were going back and forth, and without ever hearing the recording, Judge Lambert was going to wipe out of that testimony. Well, finally, Brian Steele argued Judge Glanville into listen to the recording, and he listened to it, and they played it 3 times. And Adrian Bean said, "When I was in the hospital," and then Adrian Love was like, Judge, that is what I've kind of fallen in love with." Because I, just like I did when I thought Jaden Myrick had been released on probation. You hear something so many times, and then not only that, when you listen to other stuff and you listen to your own stuff, you kind of make it up in your head that this is that. And it wasn't until I was listening to, I went back and I was listening to one of the days in court when they were discussing the bringing the Lucci evidence in. And I was like, where the hell did I get that from? That he had been released on probation. I was like, where did I get that from? I had fused 2 different days together in my mind about someone else being released on probation with the guy from the Lucci stabbing. And then you couldn't tell me no different. That's what I thought it was. And that's when I realized that happens to the state all the time. And probably some members of the defense do. But something is said so many times. And then sometimes you get something else in your brain and you just fuse those two together. And what's interesting for me is that it wasn't what the other people were saying, so to speak, that made up the jurors' minds. It was the evidence in front of the jury. They said, yeah, I heard so and so saying this, and I heard so and so saying that, and I heard this gang detective saying this, and this gang detective saying that. But when they showed us the evidence is what did it for us. Because the evidence didn't show that these people was out there, yeah, gang, YSL, and then, shooting off. The evidence showed Walter D.K. Murphy was at the house, at the spot, sleep. Somebody else was at a gas station and was worried for their safety and didn't want to leave out the crazy part is they left that woman and them kids out there in that car by themselves. But they were concerned because they was making drug deals, let's be for real, and they was concerned that these dudes was going to try to rob them. And they didn't want to go back to the spot because they didn't want the people in the other car to know where the spot was. That was their concern. And so they called these up DK and the other dude up the Nard up there to basically scare those guys. You could then make sense of it. Okay, we didn't went one way, these dudes then went another way, and we driving off, and then all of a sudden we on this random street, and the car that we just drove the opposite direction of is right here. You can make sense that, okay, these dudes is following us. You can make it that makes sense in your head. That's the part that I appreciate, not just everything else. And the wild and crazy part about this trial is real life for a lot of people. This is real life for a lot of people. It's like instead of Real Housewives of Atlanta, it was Real Trial Days of Fulton County. It's a totally different series, but that's what it looks like. And you know, that was that makes sense to me. I don't know. That just makes sense to me. But I want to figure out a way to make my coverage my own. I don't know. I don't have like is my life is different, so I'm not able to do like a whole trial watch, at least not right now, because I work full time and I go to school full time, and I'm just like not there. But I would love to be able to get to a point where I can do something like that, where we can do recaps together and all of that stuff, so that we can watch it. I think that would be amazing. Um, but I also want to. Where's my foot bra? Ooh, this is pretty good foot bra. I also want to figure out my. Ah! I think it was open. It was. Oh, it got in my eye. All right, so I just threw foot everywhere. It's crazy. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But okay, so we got that positivity out of there. Next, um, Doug and Max have been doing interviews. I need to figure out how to get Doug and Max to give me an interview. That would be amazing. But and so did Keith Adams. He did an interview. I know Brian Steele isn't like real big on that, so I heard. I don't know if that's true. Allegedly, I should say that. Allegedly. But Doug Weinstein was actually on a podcast with a lawyer that does a lot of she's done some commentary with I'm Not a Lawyer, but I literally got the ceiling packed everywhere. Stara, I think is her name. And Woody went on there, and Woody and Doug got to talk, and he said something about him and Max Sharp having some smoke, and Doug it basically was like, we had a job to do, so it was our job to do our job, and you may not like the way it was done, but that we had to fight for these boys' lives. And Woody was like, none of us are the same people we were back then, which is okay. But the other thing, Max went on Megan C. I think it's C Cups podcast. Max and what is it? Grandpa YSL Grandpa. Was it Bots? And it was so interesting because Bots has a lot to say. As quiet as he would be in the room, except for his little outburst with Judge Glanville the day that they arrested Brian Steele, when he was trying to tell them that Woody was outside telling people he was going to plead the fifth, and then everybody acts like it didn't happen. I actually had the clip of that when Adrian Love went after who was it? After Simone got called out, when he said let's get the jurors in, and Adrian Love was like looking backwards, and she was like, Judge, I think he was like, shh. Call it what you want to, don't call it for fun. I think everybody in that damn courtroom knew Woody was about to plead the fifth. But it kind of seemed to me that they wanted to pretend as if it was going to be a surprise. But they said that man was yelling in the hallways. Sorry, stuff is just going to start clicking. I can't get all this stuff off of here. But anyways, but Box was like talking about that when that happened. He said, well, he was like, pretty much like, be mad if you want to be mad, but be mad at everybody, because everybody was being messed up. That wasn't just, Boss was like, hold everybody accountable. He also said that, Shannon was like, no, we're going to fight this thing, and, we're going to do what we got to do. And it is what it is. I mean, and, he chose right. He chose right. Max also said that, with the whole gun charge, the whole gun thing with the girlfriend's gun, he chose to not even address it in his closing. I went back to watch his closing. He really didn't address it because he knew. He had already knew. He said, there was no point in me losing my credibility with the jury by trying to discount this firearm. It's here. It's there. That was his girlfriend. It is what it is, and we're going to let it be exactly what it is. I'm not going to lose my credibility with the jury trying to deny that was there. or that it was at some point thrown out of the car. It was what it was. But he said, I don't have a problem with the prosecution. He said, and I don't know what happened in this case. I really don't know, but it happened. Whatever happened, happened. He said that he had some serious conversations with Shannon. Shannon still wants to rap, so I hope he does well in all his endeavors. I know business-wise and for musicians, Atlanta is a hub that they need to have access to because there's a lot of great producers there. But also, I think that could also, and this is my personal opinion, cause issues. Yeah, Max skipped love name everything. I don't think there's any defense attorney that walked away not having an issue with love. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is why, if you care or not. Do y'all remember the day that Love went before Whitaker and Love said that Whitaker, she didn't say Whitaker, but she said, if me and Miss Hilton is in the break room and I step out and Miss Hilton comes out and said, and there's some crackers, and Miss Hilton comes out and says, Adrian Love ate the crackers. And then my boss says to me, Adrian, we're gonna have to discipline you because you ate the crackers. And Hilton has to be the only person that know I ate the crackers because she came out and said it. And I can't remember what the argument was. I really can't. But Judge Whitaker said, okay. And this is some critical thinking skills. Y'all remember when we used to have to use that in school, critical thinking? And Ms. Whitaker says, Judge Whitaker, says, or Hilton comes out and says Adrian Love ate the crackers, and there was never any crackers in there to begin with. Either one could still be true. You can't just negate the fact that there's other possibilities because the possibility you want it to be fits the situation that you're in. And that is what we would end up with a lot of the time. The hypothetical. It has to be this way because this situation fits the scenario. And Judge Whitaker would say, or, Mommy. What is it? Mommy. What is it? Come here. Mommy. Mommy. What is it? It's off? You want to watch Cat Noir? Okay. Coco Melon. Coco Melon. Oh, you turned it on Mika. Hold on. Let me change it. I'll put it back on Coco. Coco? Okay. Cat Noir. Okay. There you go. All right. There you go. Mom about to come upstairs with you. So. All right. I got to skim my broth and then we'll let her go. But that was like one of my favorite days. And that's when I was like, that's when I said to myself, Judge Whitaker with the shit. For real. I'm not even playing. That's when I said that to myself. Because when Judge Whitaker had a hypothetical for Love's hypothetical, I was like, okay, yeah. We are where we need to be in the way that we need to be there. It wasn't even surprising to me when they had that whole argument about chasing that money, but my chat pass is chasing me. And she said, it's almost as if he's saying, I stay ready. And Judge Whitaker was like, it actually does not say that at all. And she's like, yes, it does, Judge. And she's like, no, it don't say that. And that's because our judge was with the shit. I don't know. I guess I gained a different appreciation for Judge Whitaker that day. It just hit a little different after that day. And she made the trial look different after that day. For me. Like I think before then we knew she wasn't gonna be playing, but she really was like, what I really do also appreciate about Judge Whitaker is, you remember it was like the first day all the defendants was in there and they had all the bond motions, which of course she denied. Maybe she'll let some of these brothers out on bond with this new trial, especially with all the stuff about the jail coming out and with what just happened to Yak Gotti Thanksgiving weekend. But he y'all remember she was had Love come up front about the whole evidence argument when Love finally files her motion to try to make the defense hand over all their evidence. And I'm not gonna play it, but it's one of the clips that I have saved, and I go back and watch it from time to time just to kind of like reground myself. And Love says, Judge, we've never argued this before. And Brian still says, this is the first time that I had to bring all these dadgum clips. Like I keep them on hand because every now and then I got to bring them back out because of how Love wants to argue stuff. And she tells the judge that she's never argued before. When we watched on national TV, her argue this with Judge Glanville. On national TV, she argued with Judge Glanville about Brian Steele turning over all his evidence, especially when it came to that recording of Adrian Bean. And she told on herself and said that she called his investigator and asked him to turn over any recordings that he had. And the investigator said no, he wasn't going to do it. And the judge said that it wasn't his case in chief, and she was being a little bit premature of wanting all of the evidence and da-da-da-da-da. And Judge Whitaker asked her specifically, have you ever had this argument in front of Glanville before about this evidence? And Love said no. I think Judge Whitaker was already aware of that argument. I think Judge Whitaker was already aware of those. And this was when they were able to use the previous court days as their as part of their cross. They started that trend, but then they stopped it because Judge Whitaker didn't like that. She didn't like them rehashing it that way. So that was started and stopped pretty quickly. But I think Judge Whitaker was already aware that they had already had that argument and that how Judge Glanville had already ruled on that argument. And which is also why some of the evidentiary arguments that Sharp tried to get back into, like that video of Shannon Stillwell calling out the game, he wasn't really able to get into it because I think Judge Whitaker was already kind of like aware of some of them. I think in just like going through the case and trying to figure things out and where she needed to take over and get a little bit of background. I think she was kind of aware of some things. She may not have been aware of all things, nor even looking into all of them, but there was a good amount of stuff that she was aware of, I think. And I think that was one. And I think Adrian Love set the tone for her own demise. I don't know. She wanted them aunties that we all got that know they right. They no matter what the situation is, they're right. They cannot be wrong. And that's just that on that. Oh, I'm so excited. My girls, can y'all see this? This is my favorite little. I can't even show it. It's not. Oh, it's going the wrong way. It's weird. So I don't like to drink water, and I need to add some kind of substitute to it. And my girls got me some Skittle drink for my water. I like the blue pack, but I drink that pack too. All right, I got some of the murkies off of this, so we're gonna take this my laptop upstairs because my little wants me to go join her while she watches Cat Noir. I need to put my cilantro in my broth. I'm making my pho. This Black Girl edition. My kids love it, so that's what's gonna be dinner. And it's really cold outside, so I think it'll be okay. Let me get my mouse. Sorry, my big old face is in the computer. God, it's so cold. We're walking and talking. We're walking and talking. I really need to finish working on my PowerPoint. All right, my little mini me is coming. Oh yeah. All right. Oh, there was that. I was looking for that because it wasn't turned in. God dang it! There it was. I put it in there. Oops. All right. All right. So we discussed our verdicts. Interestingly enough, within the last week, what else happens? P.B. Roscoe, the gentleman accused of shooting up Lil Wayne's bus, the one who took the Alfred plea, admitted to RICO, released on bond, can have no personal contact with Young Thug. Now, if it's for work, it's different. Or anybody else convicted in this case. However, I guess because he's like a tour manager or something like that, if it's work related, he can. In addition to that, and this one had everybody speculating, the infamous Shell Kell. So when you talk about YSL, Shell Kell is always in the mix because it seems like anybody who ever had a problem had it with Shell Kell. I think the only issue between, I believe, Lucci and people happened because of the close proximity to either Young Thug, Kenneth Copeland, or Shell Kell. I don't know specifically because I haven't looked into it whether he got wrangled up with the whole YFN RICO or if it was before that. But he had several charges of like robbery in his list of charges. If I'm not mistaken, it was about 6 or 7 different charges that they had on him, facing several years in the penal system. And as of this week, most of his charges are all null prost. And I think there's one charge for aggravated robbery that he is pleading guilty to. And he is being released. They gave him 30 to do 3 or 20 to do 3. Maybe it's 20 to do 3. And then I think it's 17 years of probation because they need to clear up space in the jail. No, as in most of the people who got no pros charges that made the news was because they said it was the district attorney's discretion and the best interest of justice, those type of things. Which is interesting because now the majority of the individuals for YSL have taken plea deals because only 2 have been found not guilty of something. And there's a good majority of them that are free. There are some of them that are going back to prison because they're already facing what could be considered life sentences. But one of the main characters that was wrapped up in all of the drama is free. Anybody else think that's a little bit of an interesting moment? Like, I felt like that was super interesting. I mean, granted, a part of me hopes and prays that he too has gotten older and he has a family and kids and he wants to be a part of their lives and be a good citizen and be home for them. And, I know a lot of this gang mess is stuff that a lot of people do in when they're younger and they feel like their whole lives is ahead of them, but there gets a certain age when you like, okay, I got more years behind me than I got in front of me and I might need to slow down. And I'm hoping that he's at one of those points that um is revenge possible? Yeah, but sometimes the street talk and the street don't know. You know, sometimes the street talk and the street does know. Either way it goes, the prosecution didn't know. Um, and I truly believe if they would have taken just the people that they felt like was guilty of the Donovan Thomas and the Shamal Drinks murder and they presented those in a separate case, smaller case, more concise case, more hyper focused on just those individual cases, maybe it would look different. But I think a lot of it is they did a piss poor job actually looking into those cases. The way Detective Hogan handled the Little Rod case gave me every indication that the way that he was going to handle, the way that he handled the Shamal Drinks case was going to be very similar. Very similar. The way Detective Thorpe handled the Donovan Thomas case is giving me every indication of how he's going to handle the Darius Ford and Christian McMiller case. It's not because these are no damn genius criminals out here. It's because the detectives that are looking after the case doing what they do. I think Woody is out here living his best life. And it kind of seems a little vindictive that the state is like, yeah, we're going to throw a little cramp in your party. In addition to that, Brian still has, filed some motions to kind of like clarify the line of, Jeffrey Williams being able to come back to Atlanta. He does have homes in Atlanta and he does, Christmas is coming up and this man ain't been able to be with his family in years. And it sounded like to me that Jeffrey was wanting to be able to have his family potentially gather at his house for the holidays so they could spend time with one another and he could have a family gathering. It would probably be a lot cheaper for him to be able to travel and stay 72 hours in that home to have a family gathering with his people than to try to fly all of his family out to wherever he is. He can just throw a big family gathering, have that, be there for 3 to 5 days, and then go back to wherever he's going to go, be it Miami or California or whatever. But also, Shokel, I think they're banning him from the metro Atlanta area. I mean, there's other surrounding counties, but I think they also said that he has to be banned from the metro Atlanta area as well. Wouldn't that be crazy, though? To get in trouble and get banned from your hometown? Like, this is where you was born and raised, but you banned. You cannot come back here. We don't really care. And to have to pick up and move to a different county or maybe a different state. It's one thing if you want to go, but it's a natural reaction when someone tells you you can't do something to want to do that thing that they tell you can't do. So, yeah. In addition to that, I happened to be watching Fit Lawyer ATO, and she was on with Keith Adams. and they were discussing the case. And that, that thing that we were all wondering about whether or not Jeffrey was all like, damn it, maybe I should have waited. He said that Jeffrey did have some thoughts about that, and he kind of was like, damn. What happened?
Mama.
Did you take that from her?
No.
Why do you have it and not her then?
Because she's around for 2
Kari, don't be like that to your sister.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're a bad guy?
No.
Are you a bad brother?
No.
I know you're not. You're a good brother, so you have to be a good brother. This is your baby, remember? You told me that. So you can't be mean to your baby. Hi, baby. They're going to fall out of there. You're a good big brother, so you have to take care of her. If she's doing something, you can tell her, don't do that. You don't want her to hurt herself, but don't be mean.
I know.
You what?
I know.
You go. Yeah.
I don't.
You won't be mean no more? Okay. I appreciate that. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Mwah. I love you. Thank you for being great. That was me. No hitting. High five. High five. Okay. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I need to go watch that, Cat.
No.
We're going to go over some questions. Amanda Robinson said, oh, thank you. She said my thinky mama was squeeze the button.
Hey.
Can you move your big old face? Factualize says love lives in a world of her own. Hey baby, you can't be right in the camera, but come sit right here if you want to do this with mama. Love lives in a world of her own. Don't put that in front of the camera. It's gonna blur out right there. Don't do that. Right there. You want to turn it on? Let's see here. Factualize says Hogan is a joke. How is Ryan? How Ryan was convicted is beyond me. I agree with that. This Cat said, Flush of the Gods did a rewind on Vardar, and one juror said he was a victim of a robbery, and the detective told him that it was YSL. I am definitely gonna have to go watch that for sure. My little ones. They're a mess. I love it though. So YSL Future. He's a mess, boy. I'm thinking this next set of defendants is really going to be interesting. I really, really do. Just because Paige is there from start to finish. You need some help? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I think I'm really hoping that they don't try to take away the coverage. But Love has been trying since the last trial to get the coverage out the courtroom. She really doesn't want the courtroom to see what's going on. I thought the Dirk trial would be interesting to cover, but it's a federal trial, and federal trials do not like cameras in the courtroom. They're the reason why they have a 90% closure rate. And that is because the public is not privy to everything that is going on in there. I'm also curious to know whether or not Fulton County... Yeah, love loves playing up the dramatics. I also wonder if Fulton County is going to continue with the RICO against the other defendants, even though right now Trump has to be severed? That's what I'm curious about. Currently, they can sever people from the trial. So are they going to continue on with that particular trial and right now exclude Trump from that trial? I'm really curious about that also. But I don't know. Kyra, would you turn down my broth on like medium?
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Oh. Hey, Mom.
What? You see yourself on camera?
Yeah.
There's people over here that's talking to me.
You're on me, right?
Yeah, Mama's right there.
You're on me right side, Mommy.
Yeah.
And
I'm right there.
Yeah. I am on side.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. Hi.
You guys are come back.
Hi.
You wanna? When I'm done, we'll play hide and seek. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys think. I was gonna do.
Hi.
Hey. Mama needs you to take a moment. Count to 5. Let Mama finish talking, and then I'll let you come talk. Okay. Okay. That's fun. I was thinking about putting together a video with like some highlighted clips. It may have. I want to try to do it. In one go. I need you to be quiet for just a few minutes, okay? I want to try to do it with with some highlighted clips from like Tick's testimony. Well, of course, opening and closing. But for instance, Detective Belknap when he first came on, Detective Dennis, Detective Gaither, Tick, Adrian Bean, DK. There was a clip that Mel did put up from I'm not a lawyer, but of DK, and when Hilton asked him, "Did you commit crimes on behalf of YSL?" And he was like, "What you mean?" And she's like, "Did you commit crimes on behalf of YSL?" Like, and he was like what? I'm gonna rob you, YSL? like it that's almost as if that's really kind of what kind of made me fall in love with this trial, because the things that the prosecution would say, like these people was out here like running up on people like, give me all your YSL, and that's not how, that's just that. Hey, sit down. That's just not realistic. That's really not reality. Hi, FFS. But for some strange reason, you're being a goof troop. For some strange reason, that's really what the prosecution was acting like. But I think it would be really cool to just have like my own. You need to be quiet. You need to pipe down. Okay? You're being really goofy. I don't know why. You want to sit next to your sissy and watch TV? Or do you can sit right here, okay? But you have to calm down. I think it'd be really cool to put together a video clip of some times like that. D'Angelo White. Why is I'm here? Why is I'm here? Or like Miss Bennett. He is in love with this camera, and I do not know why. Yeah. But I think that would be really cool. I enjoy listening to the jurors' perspective on the what? The jurors' perspective on a lot of the Hey, stop yelling, Papa. The witnesses. What is it? Here. Um, I think the way that the state thought that the way that they felt about the jurors, how the jurors perceived a lot of the witnesses, and the way the jurors actually perceived a lot of the witnesses was very interesting. What are you doing? Poppy, you have to calm down. Why are you so hyper? Here. Hmm. Yeah. Are you in need of a nap? You have to use the earphones. That's where it's coming through. Where's your earphones?
You're right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the right ear. There. Here. You gotta put it on like that. There you go. There you go. The jurors, I think they said Archillian Bennett was one that they here. There. Can you hear it? I think that was one of the jurors that they were like, hold on. Hmm. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Hmm. Archillian Bennett was, if I can articulate my thought, was a witness that had an earlier connection with Jeffrey Williams. She was the neighborhood D girl. You know, her dude was the neighborhood D boy, and they all knew one another. Her dude was also into rapping and early getting into the music industry. And I think that sorry guys, I think that they I felt like they manipulated her. I felt like that she was in a very vulnerable place. And I think she had a lot of things also personally going on. I think she also has some, she had some legal concerns, and I think that that may have been presented to her as an opportunity to just kind of potentially get some things off, say what needed to be said so that all these things could be resolved. And I think that in her mind she was like, I think in her mind she was kind of like, I really just want to be done with this. I think all of these things kind of centered around a bunch of negative stuff that happened in her life, and it made her feel a type of way, and she really didn't want to rehash those things. And I think the state just kind of tried to force that rehashing on her. And she was one of those witnesses that I think the state thought was going to be extremely impactful. And in reality, it absolutely was impactful, but not for all the reasons that the state wanted it to be. I think it was impactful in a way to show how witnesses were being manipulated and treated by the prosecution team in order to come in and testify. I think, not the, was it Dexter Montgomery? The gentleman that got shot in the head and who lost half of his head. I think that was one of the most heartbreaking moments of this trial, because they brought that man in there under the guise that these are the people that were responsible for doing this to you, and they are going to get, we want to give them their punishment, and we want you to get justice for what has happened to you so that we can close this case and everything can move forward. And the most heartbreaking part about that situation is that they didn't even explain to him that they had already tried and convicted 2 people of that crime. And he was just coming in here to rehash it for this particular jury to try to try and tie that particular crime to this particular group of young men, even though the person that was actually convicted of doing that, one of the people actually convicted of doing to that, was already free, even though he wasn't physically the trigger man, he was just in the car. I think that was heartbreaking that people didn't even know that they had recourse for crimes. It was already technically tried and handled, but the state didn't tell them that. So he thought this was his first time coming to tell his story. Another person who thought that they were able to come and tell their story their way, Mungtung, thought he was coming to tell his story, say why he signed what he signed, the way he signed it. And the state said, nope. All you supposed to be saying is, yep, YSL is gang. Yep, I committed crimes on behalf of YSL. And yep, I sold drugs on behalf of YSL to prove conspiracy, enterprise, and crimes. And he said, no, I didn't say that. You said that. You just told me I had to sign that to get out of jail. And I thought that's what I was supposed to be telling everybody. And the craziest part about all of this is it is really unclear about what these people knew about what they were signing. Did they have someone who understand the legalese of these situations and the wording more than others? Yes. Was it their attorney's job to explain it to them? Yes. More than likely what them attorneys said is, you want to be out of here, this is what you need to sign. This is just saying that you agree that you know some of this happened. Like Moontuk said, I got into it with a dude and behind a chick. It had nothing to do with YSL, but I guess because I was a part of YSL and I got into it, and the two people that I was with, when they got into it, was a part of YSL. If you're saying that is, gang related, then okay, I guess it is. But that wasn't the reason for doing it. The reason for the drive-by was because these dudes jumped on this dude and he wasn't willing to let it go. Whether that had anything to do with YSL or that was a personal thing, we know what we think that is. The state tried to make it seem something else. And the juror said what was most refreshing is they was waiting for somebody to come in there and say that. What Moontung said, the juror said they had been waiting on someone. Kari, why are you yelling? The juror said they were waiting on somebody to come in and say exactly what he said. That this didn't have too much to do with Jeffrey Williams. This was just us out here doing us. It's me out here doing me. I think Shark, when he crossed Moontung, he did it. He made like a gun symbol and said, were you running up on people at the gas station talking about this YSL turf, you need to move on? That's not a direct quote, but kind of. And Moontung was like, no. But why would I? That's the thing, though. I think that's the thing that the state went back and forth on. She said these were people that was running certain sides of town, and this was their areas. And basically was saying, like, these people were supposed to keep to their sides of town. However, there were situations and there was areas of town where everybody went. And they all ended up in the fight in the Blue Flame. Clearly, everybody go to the strip club. They all ended up in the strip club. They saw one another. Dude was sitting there minding his business, having a drink, chat with his friends, when old boy walked up on him and basically snuck him in the club. That wasn't no face-to-face argument. Demekion Garlington chilling in the club, drinking and doing his thing, when these dudes run up on him and start tripping with him in the club. Lil Woody in the club, flashing his money, doing his thing, when these people run up on him and try to jump him in the club. But they try to act like these places that none of these people were supposed to be at. Like, it's the sound is in your earbud, baby. That's why you can't hear it on the phone, because the sound is in the earbud. You got to put the earbud on your ear. You got to put it around your ear. That's how you're going to hear it. Here. There you go.
No.
So yeah, I mean that's just how that went. Um, hold on, Moo. I know you chilling. Mama just tried to lay next to you. Um, who else was it? So I mean, whoa, hold on. Car, can you hand mommy the towel? Can you hand mama that towel behind you? The towel. Um, I was very interested when the jurors said that they were basically saying, because they used that grounding, that these people supposedly aren't supposed to be in these spaces because, wrong side of town. And these gang members belong on this side of town. YSL belong on Cleveland. YFN belongs over here on this side. But they're like, Yak Gotti in the gas station just got lollygagging around, walking up and down the aisles, grabbing his snacks, standing outside at the pump. And, the expectation is that they're planning a hit, essentially, because he supposedly is the one that drove by, seen Donovan Thomas out, and then called all these people to meet up. Supposedly they're planning a hit, but they all just chilling out the gas station. It wasn't like Donovan Thomas was inside the building. He was outside. And I mean, I understand how for family members that can seem like these people were in close proximity, so it's very plausible. But is it plausible? It could have been anybody else. Anybody else. That's the sad part about it. The sad part of the Shamal drinks unaliving is they were just in the store chilling. In the store, chilling. Yeah. Doing their thing. Doing their thing. And not acknowledging essentially the fourth car did not work in the prosecution's favor at all. Maybe if they would have acknowledged it in the fifth car, it would have went across better. They said that the juror said that the fourth car wasn't even acknowledged, and then the investigating detective, gets on the stand and says, "Oh, that fifth car that turns around? Ooh, I would love to talk to them because they may have saw something. They really may have saw something." But it was the fourth car that was in place when that car turned around. And juror 387 said what we all was thinking. If I'm that close to the highway or that close to hump, I'm not turning around to go the opposite direction unless something then popped off. And unfortunately, the car that was there when that car turned around was a fourth car. So unless you're saying that somebody else was in a fourth car, that story is not fitting. What Johnny Cochran say, if the glove does not fit, you must acquit. The overt acts, FFS. What do you mean, like the? Do you mean like the pictures of the young man on Instagram while with gang tattoos and tattoos of YSL while saying, here you go. While just displaying gang tattoos while saying chasing that money while my past chasing me. An act in furtherance of YSL. Kristen, no worries. I actually accidentally started my live an hour and a half early because I thought that I was supposed to start it at 1 and I thought I was late, but it was actually supposed to start at 3. And I just went with it. So anybody that joined, thank you so much for joining. It was actually scheduled for 3 o'clock. I think I started cooking and just started it early and said, oh, well. I thought I was late starting my live, and it turns out I was super early starting my live. So I made a whole broth downstairs and then came back upstairs. My littles have been picking on me the whole entire time, and it is what it is. They're finally calming down. They're having their tablet time right now. So that's why you really don't hear them talking. But if you go back like an hour, they're both yelling at me. So yeah. I appreciate you guys that have been sticking it out with me while I try to figure out my journey of being new to YouTube and trying to stream. And um, I'm not going to lie to you guys. In reality, you guys, honestly, even just today, have been so helpful. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was feeling really, really, really discouraged this week. Again, I just had a lot of stuff going on. I was very happy about the trial verdict. I was very happy about everything I was seeing, all the coverage. I was just going through a week. I can say that. I was just having a moment of trying to figure out what I want to do with my streaming platform, how I want to do it, how I can try to grow it. I've been having thoughts about investing in the lead attorney's um, package that he has for streaming in YouTube. Um, One of my jobs, my second job, the one I usually work overnight, there was a situation that happened this week that's really kind of had me like, I guess, in my feelings a little bit. And in addition to that, I have two jobs, if you don't know, four children, family life, and trying to just kind of figuring out what I want to do. And I was just feeling really discouraged. I really, really was. I was feeling really discouraged. And I kept telling myself, like, I do not want, no matter what, everything you do has bumps in the road. You know, nothing is guaranteed. I was just trying to decide whether or not to continue with my secondary job or to let it go. And I was telling myself, even if, like, nothing is guaranteed. I live in an at will work state. So, just as if I can go to work tomorrow and be fired, um, this is potentially something I have some control over. And even if I decide that my second job is something that I maybe need to put in my rear view and I try to make this my secondary job, I still need to give it as much effort that I do when I go to work at my secondary job. And the difference between that and this is I don't have to go and work 12 hours, 13 hours overnight in total in an hour drive both ways to work. I can sit right here in my bedroom and just talk to my people about whatever it is that's going on in my day and however I'm feeling. And some of them will want to listen to it and enjoy it and ask me questions and give me feedback, and some people won't. And that's okay. But at work, that's what I do. At work, I go and I take care of patients and I listen to whatever it is that they got going on in their lives that brought them to be in my care. And I give them 100% of myself while I'm at work, and I enjoy what I do, and I love the people that I work with. And I said, you know what, if for some reason that part of my life has to stop and no longer continue in that manner, then I'm going to bring the same effort to being a YouTube streamer that I do when I go to my secondary job. And as of right now, no, I don't have a guaranteed check at the end of my 2 weeks. But as long as I stay consistent and I stay true to myself, then that too may change. Um, and so, yeah, I was just really having like that mindful moment this week, and it carried on throughout several days of this week. And it was kind of a little bit of a rut that I think I was in, like a mental block. And I still haven't really like truly broke through it because I'm still thinking and contemplating different issues. But like I want to be I want to be good. I don't want to just come and talk and vent and that be the end of it. I want to be a channel that people want to return to, and they're like, "Oh, what does Nisha got going on today? Let me go and listen to her talk her BS or whatever." But I guess, all while remaining true to myself, because I am unique and I am different and I am obsessive compulsive. Um, And sometimes I am an introvert and I just want to be in my own little bubble by myself. But unfortunately, when you have toddlers, you can't do that. And so, you know, it is what it is. So, yeah. I'm gonna wipe my nose. Yes, that. I did find myself on a lighter note, FFS. I did find myself sometimes, I'm not kidding you. I found myself sometimes doing like this and being like, because we've heard so much that that is an overt act. We've heard so much, when I get ready for work and I'm pulling out my clothes and I grab a pair of red slacks, I'm like, maybe I should put those back. When, I go to my other job and I grab my blue scrubs and then I just grab like a hoodie, I have my little Pink Floyd hoodie. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't wear this to work. I don't know. I would just find myself having moments like that when I got ready to put on certain clothes. Like, oh my goodness, is this going to be an act and furtherance of YSL? I just knew at some point they was going to say when Jeffrey Williams had, his golden locks was an act and furtherance of YSL when he dyed his hair, blonde, or when he dyed it pink. I just knew that. I don't know. I agree. The overacts got a little bit crazy. Instagram posts. Oh my god, when them jurors said we was not about to lock nobody up for no daggum Instagram post. Come on, like that was like a thank you moment, like for real, because they literally wanted to lock people up for Instagram posts. Were you gonna give somebody 3 to 5 for an Instagram post? Like legitimately, that was the plan, to sentence somebody to the statutory max because they made an Instagram post that said if I didn't like what you did, I would have been in unalived you. Like, it's a whole thing. I can go on for days about that. Don't even get me started on what some people do that we just ignore and other people do that you have to make a big deal. But I'm not gonna lie to you. There was one thing that I did realize the more I went back and watched stuff. So Adrian Love was always like, throwing herself all over her chair. I did happen to notice some of those witnesses, Brian Steele would be over there. Like kind of like losing it. And I do understand some of it. Some of it would be because he would be objecting and the judge would just let it all flow. If y'all noticed, a lot of the facial expressions that he had when Judge Glanville was on the stand, some of that changed when Judge Whitaker was on the stand because the same frustrations weren't there. Max Shart's first cross-examination of Detective Gaither, almost his entire cross was like objected to and sustained. Like Gaither actually said that she wasn't answering her question because he had already asked it and she had already answered it, so she wouldn't go answer it again. And Judge Glanville told Max Sharp to move on. He didn't tell her you don't get the right to decide what you will or won't answer. He told Max Sharp to move on. Like, he's like, move on, sir. And he was like, Judge, can we approach? And he said, no. He said, can I proffer? He said, not right now. Move on. That happened a lot. Kristen, if y'all don't know, Kristen is my boo thing. She be giving me inspiration, guys. Everyone goes through stuff every day because we have it's rough. But you have to do what's best for you and your family every time you're live. I'm here. Here, Ranch Drive Home. I'm here. Oh, Kristen, thank you. I love you, boo. I do. The only good thing that came out of this trial is it was brought a lot of people from different walks of life together. I still will not thank Fannie T. Willis for it. FFS, you are so right. You're so right. And one thing that I will say is this trial sent me to a YouTube home. It is Cat, not Williams. I got to meet people over there. I got to talk to people over there. I got to interact with people over there. And in reality, I am introverted. Like I'm kind of to myself. My friends that I do have, uh, you know, I can be extroverted when we're together. But a lot of my close friends that are considered my besties, they've moved to other states, so we're not together as much anymore. So a lot of times I just hang out with my kids and my hubby and my family, and that's it. I'm just like at home chilling. If it's not school or work, this is where I am. My out time is like when I go to the nail salon or go shopping, you know. But when I'm over there, I feel like I am in a chat of nothing but my friends. And the chat sometimes is going so fast. So before I even finish a thought, there's something else. I'm like, oh, comment on that. But like that is my chat family. A lot of you that are over here with me. Oh gosh, you guys just gonna make me emotional. Um, are my family from there. So that is the amazing thing that came out of this is I found some friends from different cities and different states and different countries that are my YouTube family. And, they're my peoples. And, I know as long as I have people like that in my corner that are so supportive of me, I know that this is going to be great. I know sometimes, I felt like I was getting so stuck on some of my videos on just the numbers. And in reality, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if one person saw it or if 1,000 people saw it. The point is I was able to share that thought with someone else and it didn't get stuck in my head. So a lot of times I get stuff stuck in my head and then I get into these feelings because I'm not able to get them out. And you guys gave me a platform to get these things out. Whether it be on a personal level or I'm yelling about something that one of these peoples then did it and just pissed me off utterly. Um, hey, Flesh of the Gods, welcome back. It's just me having my own little, it's not a pity party, but it's my own little moment. I wonder what is the government like in the UK? I know you guys, don't you guys have a parliament? Um, isn't the government in the UK more of a parliamentary government, or is it similar to ours? Yeah, FFS is with the F is with FFS is with the shit. They gonna be on their head. I remember when FFS got locked out of somebody. What was that one? The moderator. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. We're not even gonna go there. But I remember when it happened. FFS just created a new page and kept it pushing. So you handled that very well. The Google sentence. Yes, that's what it was. I remembered it. I didn't remember the ins and outs of it because that chat went crazy after that happened. But FFS was with the they was with the shit. They was on top of it. They were like, I don't know what just happened, but this better stop. Um yeah. I want to kind of decide on I know the new trial first YSL doesn't start till February. I know the Fulio trial is getting ready to start. One of the defendants, the girl, with a female, is pregnant. So I know they're wanting to get her trial started so she can, and she's the girlfriend of one of the other defendants. Uh, Supposedly, she may testify in some of the other trials. I don't know if they're going to do it all together or how they're going to do that. Flesh of the Gods ended the stream. Um, I know that trial's coming up. What else? Karen Reed trial is supposed to start again early this year. Um, for the other counts that they were kind of hung over. What else has happened? What else? The Dirk trial. I know that's just going to be like whatever news coverage you can get, or buying a lot of documents for that one, since they don't allow court or allow the cameras in the courtroom for that one. What's the other trial? The one with the sheriff trial is coming up. I don't know how that's going to be covered either, but I don't know. I'm going to come up with some ideas on what to do. I do kind of want to do a video. So my final, and this is why. So I had to do a final project on like a disorder. It was on, so this class was on addictions. And so I had to do a final project on addictions. So, there's all different types: drug addictions, prescription drug addictions. I decided to do mine on a shopping addiction because it's not looked at the same as other addictions that people suffer from. Like a shopping addiction is not really looked at the same as like a prescription drug addiction or like a heroin addiction or anything like that. So, but shopping addiction is near and dear to my heart because it's something that I think I actually suffer from on a personal level. And as I was kind of going and doing research on it, that was also a part of my weekly moment. I also was like looking at how much crap I have. And I say crap not in a bad way, but I say crap just because I have a lot of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, I need to give some of this stuff away. I'm not kidding. I need to start making like, when the copier paper boxes at my job get empty, every time I need to collect a box and make a box full of stuff and just give it to somebody. Just maybe pull up on a homeless person and just say, here, this is for you. Whatever you do with it, you do with it. I just like put clothes in there and some shoes in there and, perfumes in there and jewelry in there and just give it away. I think that's what I want to do. My birthday is this Wednesday, and I think I may make a couple of boxes like that and just go downtown to our local homeless area and just give some stuff away. Because I have more than I could ever need. For real. BB, no worries. I was just thinking to myself about something I need to do with my life. But thank you, BB. It's coming up this Wednesday, and I really think that would be an amazing birthday present to myself to get rid of some stuff. Like for real. I literally have a clothes room that's packed to capacity. You guys seen what my office used to look like. Yeah. So, but I need to figure out which trial I want to cover next. I think as long as there's cameras in the courtroom, I'm definitely gonna do the Fulio trial. Kristen, you and my mom. Yeah, Kat, I think so. Like I'm not kidding, guys. I will show you. So let me pull my dress down. So, one of my coworkers said to me, "Hey, have you ever tried Dossier before? They have, so I have a whole perfume collection. Like, hey, you should try it. They have, a lot of perfumes that are inexpensive, and they do like copies of other perfumes. So, I have I don't know if you can see it. So I'm trying to like not completely unblur, but if you can see that row, this is all my perfume collection, right? Then I got introduced to Dossier, and just to try it, I couldn't try just one, of course, but if you can see, that is my now Dossier collection. Do I need 40 perfumes? Nope, I don't. But still, I did that. Um, so I said, you know what? There's other people in other places that um I'm walking to go check my bra. That you know they may be living in a homeless shelter, but at the same time they want to go do a job interview, and I have a lot of clothes, so maybe it'll be a good idea to give them, because I used to donate to the Goodwill, and take clothes there when my littles are all when all of my kids got too big for their clothes. I would take their clothes to Goodwill. But then I realized that the Goodwill, the way they charge, it's like going to the store. You know, um, you can go into Forever 21 now and buy some pretty decent clothes at a pretty decent price. Same thing with like Abercrombie, or all the little stores in the mall. Um, Ross, TJ Maxx, they have pretty good sales and stuff, and you can get stuff at a decent price, even at the sale price. Um, but and I realized that Goodwill is starting to charge people like that for clothes, and I'm kind of like, nope. So we're going to my one of my clothes rooms. Oh, this. So not full camera, but yes, those are some of my wigs back there. I used to make wigs a lot. It's like a stress reliever for me to go through and make a wig. Um, and then I would. I never really tried to sell them. I made them. I tried to sell them, like I created an Etsy and all that stuff, but then they didn't sell after a few months. And then I just closed down my Etsy. But like, you can't see it all very well. But like, this is clothes and stuff, purses and stuff over there. Closet filled to the brim. Um, there was a time I had a certain type of job. Um, let's just say I worked in the adult entertainment industry, where the girls would have to get their makeup and stuff done, and so I would buy all these makeup palettes, and then I used to have like, so, ooh, dropped it. So I used to have like Ipsy and Boxy Charm and all that stuff. So and if you're familiar with any of those, they send you like full size makeup, full size skincare. Um, so like eyeshadow palette. Never even used it. Never even used it. It's just here. Um then COVID happened. When COVID happened, you couldn't what happened? You couldn't go to the damn nail salon anymore, right? So when COVID happened and you couldn't go to the nail salon anymore, guess what I did? I went and bought nail polishes for Dave. Look, down there. This is on the floor. There's boxes of gel nail polishes, and I have like 3 lamps, and yeah, it's a whole thing. That's my OCD. Yeah. Um so I think that it would best suit me, and maybe this is a midlife crisis because my birthday is coming up and I'm going to be another year older. Um to get rid of some of it. But I don't want to give it away to someone who's going to charge someone else for it. Um but I know what it is for me. It's a compulsive buying disorder. I know what it is for me. It's something that everyone in my not everyone, but there are several people in my family who suffer from the same thing. My grandmother has it. Like, you can't even see her basement. And it is organized. My stuff is very much so organized. My grandmother's stuff is somewhat organized. My mother, all three of my aunts, my mother and both her sisters also suffer from this. um, my mom, unfortunately, her living room, immaculate. Bathrooms, immaculate. Bedrooms and basements, no. Nothing is organized. A lot of stuff is just in boxes. For a time we did live together and she took all of my clothing racks, which is why I only use closet space now because all of my clothing racks got taken by my mother. But my youngest aunt, my mom's younger sister, she does it, but she does it with clothes and like house supplies. So like couches and she'll buy like couches and hot tubs and um lawn and garden stuff. She'll buy like a whole what is that? Like a patio set, and then we'll all go over there and she'll be like, "Oh, I bought this. It was on sale, but I have two. I don't know what to do with it. Anybody want it?" Like, that's my aunt. I have another aunt that she buys DVDs. Any and every DVD she can think of that she sees, she will buy, and then she puts it in alphabetical order. That is her stress relief. Unfortunately, for myself, I don't get to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I spent up all my money. Don't buy anything, because I am a sales shopper. So I will go into a store and go straight to the clothing rack and walk out of there with 6 bags all under $60 and be like, I did a good service today. That is my issue. And believe it or not, doing this and setting a time to do this and focusing on the YSL trial and streaming with you guys kind of helps me get out of my own head and have like some time to think about stuff other than whatever the hell I got going on for the day. Um, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm just standing in here like, my kids, I don't, my grandmother and my mother, they don't really like people to take their stuff. They get really annoyed with it. I personally don't like, I don't like people to take my stuff, but at the same time, like, if my kids are like, hey mama, can I go get some stuff, or can I go borrow some stuff, or can I wear some of your stuff, I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me if they let me know that they need and want it. That's my big girl. It's great. You can't even see you, just in your shadow. My big girls are hiding from the camera. But yes, so I mean, really, that was just to let you guys see that I have a lot of crap, and I think it'll be a yes, baby, come here. I think it'll be a good idea to get rid of some of it, especially this season, the Christmas season, the season of giving, and to be able to clear up some space by giving some stuff away to someone who may need it. Someone who wants to make a New Year's resolution that's going to be starting over, that may have that big interview coming up, you know. And you know what sparked it? The trial verdict. Yeah. You got your purse. Seeing that these gentlemen are going to get a second chance at life, a second opportunity to live and do better and be better, and to oh, it's stuck, boo. To learn something, that kind of inspired me a little bit. What's up, baby? I don't know why it's not coming up. But with that in mind is why I was thinking that, like I need to do something too. I need to start over too. These guys are starting over and being able to start their new lives with their people and just be better without this craziness hanging over them. We all need to just start over and be better. And Do something new. You guys talking crazy about all my crap. uh Yes, he was live on his birthday. He was live, kind of. Fulia was live, kind of like tracking everything he did. Who was it? Cuff Boys. Cuff Boys did a few videos on the whole Fulio situation, and kind of like some of the police evidence and some of the stuff that was going on with that. Ranch dressing all over me. Um, but yeah, the coverage that I seen that wasn't on the news was on Cuff Boys discussing uh the stuff, but you know, we're all human. We're all human. I guarantee there's not one person sitting nowhere that would be with me somewhere and I committed a crime that's, whether they know me or not, and gonna be like, yep, I'm about to take a life sentence for her. No, it's not gonna happen. They're gonna be like, look, if you tell, if me and Kristen go to Walmart and I go for a parking space, and me and the person is now arguing over the parking space, and they weapon out on me, and I pull my weapon out and I shoot and I fire and I hurt somebody, and they tell her, you gonna go to jail for life if you don't tell me that she shot. She gonna be like, yeah, she shot. Her intention may not be to like get me in trouble. Her intention may not be to lie on me, but her intention is gonna be to free herself of the guilt because she didn't do anything wrong, or she didn't feel like she did anything wrong, you know. Or you may have a Woody situation where I got myself in everything and I'm in everybody's everything story, and I ain't trying to go to jail, and I'm not trying to be a part of that. So, you know, I'm gonna put random people in random places, and it did seem real random. Woody put random people in random places. And you know what I realized throughout those videos of him? The reason why Woody couldn't go into those interviews and tell the story that he told in June is because he didn't know all that yet. Did anyone think that that was a possibility? When Woody went in first thing that morning after the shooting and he talked to Detective Thorpe and he was saying that, you know, he didn't know this and he was asleep and he didn't know nothing about that and da 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 da. Did anybody realize that it just could have been because he hadn't heard any of the other stories? Meanwhile, months later, you're still hanging around these people and you get with them and y'all having a conversation, and for maybe Yak to be like, damn, dude, that was crazy because I was at that gas station that day and da 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 da, and I seen so and so at the gas station. Or to talk to Demikian say, yeah, so and so was at the gas station, did you know that? And then so later on, he made the story fit what he needed to do because then he had a little bit more information. To me, that seemed a lot of what it was. The reason why all the interviews were different and there was different people talked about and named, you know, Lil Mike and Quez, is because he knew different information in all of those interviews. And so he was just giving a little bit and mixing a little bit with a little bit more in all those interviews. Um, I'm trying to read some of you guys' comments. I said that girl set up fully. Yes. Kristen, it is hard to let it go, but it's gotta go. It's a lot. I gotta get it. I gotta go. Hey, I promise you guys, if you were to go, BB, if you were to ever go through any of my aunt's house, I promise you, you would find so much stuff that you needed. You'd be like, oh my God, she got 10, what are those things? The ice scrapers. She got 10 of them ice scrapers. She got yard hoses that's never been used, rakes, yard benches, I mean, every time I've moved, she's giving me something for the yard, patio set, umbrella, something that we've been able to use for the house. Um, she'll buy a couch and get rid of it. This is how crazy it is. My aunt, when I was younger, she bought a new car and she had like an old minivan and it was paid for. It, you know, it's just sitting in her yard, and she would let anybody drive it whenever they needed a car. To, like if I went on, like, hey, Annie, can I borrow your car to go to the store? She'd be like, yeah, sure, no worries. When she was ready to get rid of it, you know what she did? She came over and was like, hey, I'm gonna get rid of this car. I'll sell it to you. And we are like, oh, okay, for real? And she's like, yeah. And my younger sister's like, well, Annie, how much? And she's like, a quarter. She sold my sister her van for a quarter. I'm not kidding. It was a 90s van and this was like in the early 2000s, but yeah, she sold her van for a quarter. Thank you, Kat. I'm sure it will feel good. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. I'm gonna make a homeless bag. You know, it's crazy. I'm gonna put a wig in there too. I don't care. I'm gonna put a wig in there. Hey, you, a new you. There's a new you. We're gonna put some shoes, some clothes, some undergarments. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna give away some stuff because it's time. I usually do it once a year, sometimes twice a year. I haven't really done it at all this year, so I'm gonna do it. I usually let my nieces and come over and just go crazy, and it really hasn't happened this year. This is like the first year it hasn't really happened, so yeah, I'm gonna get rid of it. FFS. Yeah, that sounds. You sound. That's my mother has that problem. My mom had a car. So she has three cars right now. They're all SUVs. She had a car that my sister was driving, and then she had a car that I think it messed up or something like that. And she I think it needed the transmission replaced or something like that. So she put it in the shop to get the transmission replaced. My sister was still driving her second car, and then she decided that one day she was just gonna pop into the car lot just to see what was wet, and then drove off with another car. And I literally said to her, "Mom, how are you gonna drive three cars?" And she was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I got them now at this point. The other car's in the shop, so technically I only got two." I'm like, "No, you got three." And she's like, it's fine. So my mom has upgraded to buying cars too. She's very obsessive compulsive. It is definitely a habit that passes down from family member to family member. And all of us women especially seem to have it. Although my nephew has it too. He doesn't even realize it's a habit, but he has it. Kristen, I believe you, boo. I believe you are the most loyal person. I'm just saying you wouldn't have to be. Like I understand someone needing to preserve themselves. However, I will say um my hubby and his brother are probably the most loyal individuals I have ever seen in my life. Like, and I won't just say it's because they're brothers. I will say I think their bond is like deeper than that. Like, do they get along all the time? Nope. Have they ever had disagreements? Yep. But I feel like the relationship that those two have is like it's something that's not forged in words, if that makes sense. It's not forged in words. I feel like that without even with either one of them, without even having to talk to one another or physically see one another, they they already know what the other one is gonna do. You know, it's definitely not what we've seen in this trial. Um, like I know that they could be in two different rooms with two different investigators, and those investigators, Dennis and Gaither could be going in on these two, like going in, like your brother done already told me everything, they done already said everything, and I can guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, like I promise you, them two would be like, okay, all right, whatever you say. Like, it would not matter. It would not matter what it was regarding, what it was about. They would literally not ask any questions. Like, you know how Dennis was like, this ain't no 68? It would be that same type of situation. Like with them two, it would be no. You couldn't. It just wouldn't. It would. It just wouldn't. Just because of the way that they interact with each other. Like I said, they don't always get along. They don't always agree. But the bond that they have with each other, like, they trust each other with each other's lives. And I don't know. I just feel like if they ever was doing dirt, like, it wouldn't matter. Even if you caught one of them, even if you caught one of them, you was only gonna have to convict that one, because that one would never tell that the other one was involved. That's just how they are. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't matter. You would never be able to get them to tell on the other, because they just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't care. You know what I mean? They just wouldn't. They wouldn't care. FS, the cars or the life sentence. Until that. I'll take a life sentence for you, said nobody ever. Oh, you guys are such a hoot, I swear. But I don't know. It's just, certain people is built different. It's not to say I don't know. I don't understand why Woody did what he did. I absolutely 100% understand why Woody did what he did. Because he like, shit, if I can get 3 years versus 30, that's what I'm going to do. But I also understand why he did what he did when he came back to the trial. You know what I'm saying? At that point, he was like, and he kept saying it over and over in the trial. Woody kept saying, am I here to tell the truth or remember my lies? I can't remember what I told them folks. You got to tell me what I told them folks. So my son is playing. I wish I could turn my camera backwards and show you guys, but he is playing Paw Patrol right now. He got all his Paw Patrols lined up. Here, let me see if I can show y'all. He got all his Paw Patrols lined up on my bed, and he is enacting Paw Patrol right now. So they told me today they don't care if I'm live streaming. I got kids, and everybody has to know it. But yeah, I don't know.
Can I show you?
Oh, Kristen, that's so cool.
Mommy, you count out high.
You want me to count and you high?
Yes.
Okay. Let Mama finish her live stream and then we'll play hide go seek, okay? Okay. High five. Okay. Give me 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay. High five. Kristen, I believe you, girl. So yeah, I mean we're gonna see what the next steps are. I think I'm going to do. So my goal for the next week is to take some deep breaths, to go to the gym twice this week. I'm going to do some research on the next few YSL defendants that are coming to trial, just because I want to get myself a little bit more educated with the whole trial process and, the ins and outs of that, just so I can be a little bit more intelligent when I speak regarding things related to the trials. Also, I kind of want to do some updates on my school journey and where I am as far as graduation is concerned. But I also want to, I don't know, I kind of like this part. You know what I like about the Papa? You know what I like about the chats is how personal we kind of get with one another, how we kind of interact with each other and get to know one another on a personal level sometimes. And that that aspect of things is kind of what I want to also bring to my streams, if that makes sense. Like, because I like this interaction. I like this part of it. I like getting to know each other and talking to Kat and talking to Kristen and talking to FS. I like this part of it. So I want to try to figure out how I can make this a part of my process too. FFS said Woody made me realize why I have trust issues. Um, FFS, I'm going to say to you, Woody helped solidify for me why I also have trust issues when it comes to certain authoritative figures. I've had my own negative experiences with the police. I've never spent like an overnight in jail, but I think when I had guns pulled out on me by police officer on several occasions, one of which my husband was a victim, and I was very emotional and frantic. And in my emotional and frantic state, I seen police coming towards me, and I went for them to them for help. You know, I think I was also at the same time having an anxiety attack, and I grabbed one of the officers and asked them to help me. And the officer threw me to the ground and drew his gun on me and told me to never put my hands on a police officer. Um, so I think I have been traumatized by that experience, and it's, you know, I went to therapy. I'm trying to figure out how to get over that and let that go. But, you know, that's another conversation for another day. Yeah, Kristen, exactly. It's like we're friends just having a chat. Just friends just chatting. And I like that aspect of this. And I want to make that a part of how I deliver things. Um so I mean, some of the things that I seen in this trial, some of the ways that things were presented in this trial, um, scared me, because I would often think to myself, is this really how people are? These people doing their jobs, or is this how these people view these people as almost sometimes subhuman? Um, and you would see the defense attorneys trying with all their might to like just get the judge to listen, and it would fall on deaf ears, and it would become scary. It, you know, um, I mean, they would always try to criticize Harvey for just the way he would like speak out, but Harvey was one of those defense attorneys that was like, I ain't afraid to go to jail. Okay, send me. But I'm gonna say what I gotta say too. And it did. He was like, I'm gonna get this out regardless. And I guess I could kind of appreciate that, because sometimes you would see the judges, both judges, kind of shutting him down. Um, Westmoreland was one of those attorneys that could really articulate herself, but you know, Shark. Clearly, we've seen Shark can articulate himself, and he gonna fight to the death of it. But there were so many times before where we would see Shark just get put in a corner and shut up. And it was interesting to see that, you know, how we as the viewers were able to go in and just pass stuff to each other. Like, oh, well, did you see da 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 da? Well, did you see da 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 da? And like really like kind of have those moments where we could all like, yeah. And then you would see somebody talking about something, and then you would go back and look at that thing and be like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. So Factual Lie and FFS, you guys are saying, damn, are you what? Was that to my story? uh I if that is to my story, I'm sorry. I have some unbelievable experiences. Um, some of my experiences are so unbelievable that people don't even think they're true. People are like, "There's no way that that really happened in real life." But clearly, as you can see after watching this trial, there is nothing that we could say is unbelievable. I do remember the AOL chat room days. I miss those. Actually, I'm telling you, I've had I don't know, I've had some moments, and we all we all have our traumas. We all have our traumas, and um, I think I said that with Shannon Stillwell when he drove off as that car, because the moment he drove off was when that car was fast speeding up. I said that's trauma right there. I said that's trauma right there. And the state is going to try to use that against him. The state said, "Oh, he drove off like that because he had just finished shooting that dude." If you watch, he was sitting there at the light, not moving. He was at the light, not moving. He left that light when that dude, whoever was driving that fourth car, pulled up on his butt end like that. That's when he sped off because of the trauma. Once they said in open court that a car revved up on his butt end and shot the car, unalived the driver, and the car flipped, and that's what the majority of his injuries were from. That's trauma right there, and trauma affects us all differently. Hell, for some of us, this trial traumatized us. I don't know. This trial traumatized me. If I ever see an Adrian Love in the courtroom, I may take off running. I may just say, yeah, y'all gonna have to come get me. I'm out of here because I know what's going down." FFS, no, Emma, read my comment. BB, no roaches, rats, or sewage, but it was scary. Is it this one? Is it that one, FFS? Or is it this one? Kristen, I think mental health training to officers would be amazing. Here they do the mental health checks, but I mean, I say this: day in and day out, police officers have to be on scenes of unalivings, issues with kids, essays, not just the traffic stops. They have to go to court and testify. They have to appear before a judge. They get cussed out. They get talked down to. They get treated disrespectfully. So I understand that they have a hard job. I do. I work in the mental health field, so I completely understand that aspect of it. The ins and outs of having like one of the toughest jobs, I think, next to like maybe a doctor or EMS, because some people will never know what it looks like to smell blank, what it looks and smells like to see someone with their limbs shot off, or I unfortunately have the pleasure of knowing what it's like to smell brain matter, you know to see someone um high on drugs and fall asleep in freezing cold weather, and now their fingers have to rot and fall off because we're not at a stage where we can just take them off. It's traumatizing for the person experiencing it, but there's also traumatizing for the people that are in that field. It's traumatizing for the people that go through that as well. So I get it. Oh, the AOL chat room. Yes, 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 yes. That is exactly this. This is what I want. This is what I want. Like that type of feel to my streams. Absolutely. Um, so I know what that looks like on both sides of it. But I also know what it looks like when you are in a traumatizing situation and you're scared and you're fearful and you don't know what to do and you don't know where to turn and you're unsure if your loved one is going to make it out the other side of that, and you essentially are by yourself. Because I, for the most part, was by myself. I didn't have a loved one there with me. My loved one was the one that was harmed. So I was by myself. And the police are supposed to be, the good guy is here. The good guy is here to help, right? And in that moment, the person that is supposed to be here to help me, and I get that they didn't know if I was there for good or bad, but the person that I was looking at as my savior in that moment, and there were several of them coming, and I just pleaded with one, please help me. Help me. And what could have been tell me what's going on. Tell me what happened. What is it? What do you need? Type of moment instead became of how dare you? Who do you think you are? Why are you doing this? Get away from me. That type of moment. I don't know a better way to articulate this because it's on a personal level for me. But that's what it became to me. And so it kind of became my trauma, I guess. So yeah. I need to figure out how to deal with that. uh yeah. PTSD, parent to class, yeah. Shannon Stillwell also needs a lot of help. I got to experience the smell of birth 4 times. All of my kids were, you know, that type of birth. My last one, my baby, who's also celebrating her birthday this month, 3 days after mine. She was a natural birth, so she came before she was due. I got hurt at work, and it kind of essentially threw me into labor. Um, but or it started my labor. But yeah, usually my other 3 were all like induced. Um, so I knew that it was contractions, but I didn't know that like I was getting close to the finish line. And I was at home with my kids, and yeah. But she ended up, by the time I got there to get some, by the time we got to the point I could get some pain relief, she was making her entrance, so it was too late. So yeah. It was a mess. I can tell you that staff at the hospital and traumatic situations can be some of the kindest people I've ever met. There's also some that shouldn't work there. Agreed. BB, I agree with you. I do work in a hospital setting, and I also work in a medical office setting in both my jobs, and I completely agree. I work in mental health. Um, but I also work, it's in a setting for people that are like in a hospital bed, that also have medical issues going on. I love what I do. I love my patients. I love my coworkers. But for every situation, you have us that also realize that people come into a situation knowing that there are rules and with the attempt to break the rules. But then you also have people that are here and just are here. And for whatever reason, they need help, they want help, their family members want to get help. And that is our job, to help. And as a society, I guess I grew up in an era where, your neighbors told your parents everything. And now we grew up in a society where your neighbors don't care to look. And when they do care to look, it's not because they're going to talk to your parents and tell your parents. Instead, it's because they telling you what you should and shouldn't do. Like, I don't know if there was just boundaries or whatever, but, if I say I yelled at my neighbor when I was a kid, my neighbor wasn't going to say nothing to me. Instead, when my neighbor see my parents' car come home, my neighbor's going to walk right around the fence and it's going to say, "Hi, Miss So-and-so. So we were out here earlier and your daughter was being really disrespectful. And this is what she said and da-da-da-da-da." And then my mom was, or dad was going to come into the house and say, "You need to come here. Did this happen?" Or they was going to bring me outside and make me go to the neighbor. And then we was going to have that conversation together. You know what I mean? Like that was the time then. Whereas now the time is, if there's an issue with a kid and a parent, or a kid and a neighbor, the neighbor's going to talk crazy to the kid. And then now the parent is no longer going to focus on the kid being disrespectful. They're going to focus on the neighbor that they feel like is being disrespectful, because now the neighbor no longer wants to come and knock on the door and talk to the parent. They want to just talk to the kid. And I think that's society. As a society, that's where the issue is kind of coming in, is, there used to be decorum and we don't have that anymore. Kristen. Okay, baby. I think we're starting to go dead, but you keep hitting all the buttons. Oh, you turn the Wi-Fi off. You can't turn the Wi-Fi off. It's not gonna play if you do. Um. Hmm. Um, Agreed. All right, FFS, what you got? There needs to be accountability. When a cop goes rogue, I've had a cop during open court yell out. Yeah, there absolutely has to be accountability in the courtroom. I think everybody should be, like, we all, baby, you're pushing all the buttons. I think as a society, everyone needs to be accountable. Like we have to hold each other accountable, Like, and I think in the legal system, there definitely has to be accountability. What did Doug Weinstein say? Um, he said there was a time when they kept getting new evidence, and he had asked Judge Glanville to put some hard deadlines out there. Please stop this. Please stop this. And he said that the judge was like, "Well, if this was a civil trial, yeah, we would we'd be able to stop this, but it's not. It's a RICO trial. It's a potential murder trial. Like, the state has to be able to present as evidence." And then I think Doug made the statement, what did he say? He said, if this was civil, um, that they would have put more hard deadlines. He said, but because it was the type of trial that it was, they didn't. And he was like, it was just his client's life on the line. And he said, I would think with the type of trial that it is, that there would be a higher standard, that the court will hold a higher standard than it has been, or that it was. And that was very impactful, because basically, because of the type of trial it was, they were saying anything goes. What's in there? What you got in your purse? So yeah. BB does billing for rehab hospitals, so I don't have much patient contact, and I don't believe I'd be good at it. I'd be afraid to say the wrong thing. It's amazing what you can say to your patients, or what type of conversations you guys could have, because again, they're human beings. And sometimes you get those patients that nobody in their circle tells them no, and you're the first person to tell them no, and they go buck wild. They're like, "What? How dare you?" It's the end of the world because you told them no. But you're setting a boundary. And in reality, that may be the patient that needs boundaries, and they have none. And the only way for them to get better is to start setting boundaries for themselves, and their loved ones to start setting boundaries for them. The judge claimed I didn't hear it. Wait, when was this? FFS, I think a lot of times the judges have selective hearing. Now, when Gaither was on the stand talking crazy, right? The judge said she didn't hear it. She didn't hear none of it. Adams heard it across the courtroom, but Judge Whitaker didn't hear it. And maybe she was just tuning stuff out in that moment because she was like over it. But what was interesting is the jurors heard it. The jurors said, yeah, they heard it. A couple of the jurors said that they didn't make out the words, but they could see that she was mumbling and saying things, and it was enough to know that she was probably talking crazy. So that was that. Yeah, I could tell you some crazy hospital stories, Miss Lady. Them hospital stories go, they get wild. You are right. Actually, this is the quietest that they've been. They both then got back into tablet time. They was playing. My son was playing. He's playing with my feet right now. He's playing with my toes. uh, I don't know why, but he's playing with my toes. It's tickling. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone for being in here with me today. Um, it's for my time, so my final is due at 11:59. So I'm about to finish it out. I got dinner cooking. My babies are chilling. So I appreciate you guys. I was gonna play some videos, but instead, I'm going to once my finals out the way, starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start putting together my clips for the trial so that when we come on next week, we can go over said clips and just have a time of it. I'm going to try to put together at least enough clips for about an hour, and then we can kind of do our chat after that, or we can kind of go over the clips, look at them. Um, I'm thinking it's going to be like 168 days of YSL. I don't know. But the juror said, you had us here for 367 days and I couldn't even deliberate. Um, but yeah, we're going to go over the days of YSL. I'll come up with a catchy name. But yeah, we'll do that and we'll talk about it, and then we'll do our we'll call this our AOL chats afterwards. Thank you, Factual Lie. I appreciate you. And FFS, thank you so much for being here. Factual Lie, Kristen, Kat, I love you with all my heart, boo thing. You are the best. You guys are the best ever. I appreciate you all. Flesh of the Gods was in here chilling with me today. BB. Mwah. That was a big old sneeze, Poppy. Um, I appreciate you guys all more than you could ever know. I mean, you have no clue. I appreciate my hubby. He listens to all my streams. He works the weekend, so he's not actually like he can't see it, but he listens to me. He listens to me talking my talk. So I appreciate that. That's crazy. FFS, that's truly crazy. Um, but you guys be good. Have a good weekend. I'll post. I'm just gonna post a happy birthday to myself on Wednesday. But next Saturday is my daughter's birthday. I probably will not stream on Saturday. I'll stream on Sunday instead, because we're gonna do something for her on her birthday. But yeah, so I'll probably stream on Sunday. I'll set it so you guys can turn on your notifications, like, share, subscribe. Yeah. She keep putting her foot on my laptop. Here, this is her foot. Bye bye. Bye bye. Just her toesies. See you guys later. You guys have a great Sunday and a great work week. And I will see you guys all next Sunday. Bye. Appreciate you.